About Crimea and Donbas. In Trump's plan, it's written that de facto they recognize it as ours, but not de jure. But how is this? How do lawyers address you? How is this de facto but not de jure?
This should be the subject of our negotiations with the American side. Thank you very much for drawing attention to this. You're right. This is one of the key points. Thank you very much. This last question from Putin's press conference on November 27th has sent shockwaves across the West. Because for the first time, Putin is no longer talking about tanks or front lines. He is talking about law, recognition, and sovereignty. And as this legal bombshell dropped, a political one followed. According to a report by the Telegraph UK, Washington may now be considering a dramatic shift on Crimea and Donbas. As per the Telegraph report, President Donald Trump has allegedly sent his envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, to Moscow, carrying a Ukraine peace framework that includes reported US recognition of Russia's control over Crimea, Donetsk, and Luhansk. Not de jure, not legally on paper, but de facto acknowledging Moscow's control on the ground. It would represent the sharpest pro-Moscow tilt by Washington since the war began, at least according to the report. For the Kremlin, even reported recognition is psychological victory. For Europe, it is a political earthquake. And for Zelensky, it could become a strategic nightmare, suggesting that Western patience with Kyiv may be wearing dangerously thin. Signs of this shift, however, were already visible in Trump's recent optics. Images released by the White House after Zelensky's Oval Office visit showed Trump standing beside an oversized war map, with Crimea and most of Luhansk and Donetsk visibly shaded as Russian-controlled. While not an official declaration, the symbolism was impossible to miss. It wasn't a message to the press, it was a message to Kyiv. A visual reminder that Russia controls the map and the reality on the ground. Months before this, Trump had already defended Russia's hold on Crimea by shifting blame not to Putin, but to Barack Obama.
They've lost a lot of territory, and we'll do the best we can, working with Ukraine. We'll do the best we can, but they lost a lot of territory. When you say Crimea, that was handed over during a president named Barack Hussein Obama. That had nothing to do with me, Crimea. That was 11 years ago with Obama, and they made a decision. There wasn't a bullet fired, there was no fighting, there was no anything. They just handed it over. Now they say, well, can you get it back? I think that's going to be a very difficult thing to do. That was given by Barack Obama when he was president, not by Donald Trump.
European leaders have strongly opposed any settlement involving Ukrainian territorial concessions. But Trump's posture is clear. He views territory as a negotiating chip, not a moral red line. The reported 28-point proposal, carried by Witkoff and Kushner, allegedly offers Russia sweeping advantages, including US acknowledgement of its control over Crimea and most of the Donbas, along with Ukrainian military and NATO limitations. Washington, the report suggests, is no longer debating Russia's physical control, only how that control is recognized diplomatically and legally. And that brings us back to Putin's original question: de facto or de jure? Ukraine, under this reported framework, would retain limited areas near Kharkiv, while freezing its NATO ambitions and reducing military capacity. Putin has already called these proposals a basis for further talks, signaling Kremlin confidence. Ukraine wants concrete security guarantees, but Washington is signaling something else entirely: that the battlefield may be shifting from trenches and missiles to lawyers, maps, and recognition. And in that new arena, Putin believes he holds the upper hand.